So, what on earth is TiddlyWiki? This totally unscripted introduction may help you understand what it is. TiddlyWiki.com. Let's go and have a look. Here is TiddlyWiki.com, and you can learn about it at a high level by reading through the pages. However, let's get moving. Let's download an empty copy. Let's make this our own. I'm going to save it in this temp directory. Notice it's called empty.html. This is a single file that we've downloaded, and we're now going to access it. I'm going to use my file manager and go to the folder where I saved it and double click that file, and it opens in my default browser, which happens to be Firefox, where I'm running this demo. So when it comes up the first time, it has getting started, and you can name your wiki. Now I'm just going to do a really simple version. We'll call it Notepad. I'm going to give it a subheading of quick test of TiddlyWiki. Because I've changed the name, it appears in here and it says quick test of TiddlyWiki. The word TiddlyWiki itself is using camel case, so it automatically becomes a wiki link. In this case, I really don't want that in the title, so I'm just going to put a tilde in front of it to stop that happening. And because I've been getting started many times, I'm going to no longer load getting started when I open my TiddlyWiki, and I'm going to ask it to open the home. What is home? It's another tiddler, just like every other tiddler. Tiddlers are the way we organise data in TiddlyWiki, but you can actually make them look like anything you want. So let's close that, and depending on the method you've used to save TiddlyWikis, you should save that wiki and you can reload it, and if it reloads with your changes included, then your save mechanism is working. Now, out of the box, when you click that save, you can save as and select the folder in which you opened the file, and click on the file you opened and say you want to overwrite that file. So of course you can see it's nice if you can just have it automatically save and you don't need to go through that save as process. However, you could work on it for a while and save when you're finished. So here we are, it reloaded with a new tiddler called home. However, that tiddler doesn't exist. So it's asking us to click edit to create. So we can create a tiddler, which is the basic piece of information in TiddlyWiki. And yes, I can use my browser spell check to fix my typos, and I can click, and now we have basic text in a piece of inside our TiddlyWiki, inside a tiddler called home. So if we reload, that's the first thing we see. At any point you can just click and make a new tiddler. So you know, it could be your shopping list, it could be the first chapter of your book, and rather than write the information into this shopping list, I'm going to say new here, which is create a new tiddler tagged with this one. Tags are a critical part of TiddlyWiki because they help you organise information. There's many other ways to do so, but these are the ones out of the box that meets most needs. So let's click New here. So we create a new tiddler and it's tagged with the shopping list tiddler. So let's go ahead and say fresh fruit. And this might be enough. We may not need to put any details in there, but you could say preferably mandarins or something, and we'll just click on that. So now we have a tiddler called shopping list, and it is tagging another item called fresh fruit. Now let's not be totally healthy and create a new item and say frozen pies. Using the new here, it is also tagged with the shopping list. So we have a shopping list, isn't that great? But how do we actually see the members of the shopping list? Well, out of the box, when it's used as a tag, we can click on the tag and we can see the things it's tagging or open the original tiddler. It didn't change because it was already open for me. And then as we go along, we can actually learn ways to use advanced wiki text and commands to do something such as this. Let's create a list and we want to filter what appears in the list, and we're going to say tag. Now I could say it's tagged with shopping list and type shopping list in, but just to give you a preview, I can say current tiddler here. So if I use this list somewhere else, it would just find out what the name of the current tiddler is and use that to create the list. And I'm just going to use a simple default command and say leave it empty and then terminate the list widget. And when I click, if I've done everything correctly, it should list the fruit. So at any time, let's customize the environment a little, just so that things work a bit differently. A favorite place for me when I have a new wiki is to go to a control panel with this, appearance, toolbars, and go to the page toolbar. And the quickest and easy thing to do is to include home, close all, and more, so we can access these other unchecked items from this menu. They've all appeared here on the right, and now we see under the more we can see everything. So if we know how to import and export, we can use those icons. But I'm going to click home now, and basically it closes everything and opens the thing we put in the default tiddlers. And so we've come back here after a week and we're thinking, oh, I'm sure I put a shopping list in here. Well, of course, TiddlyWiki allows you to just type in shop, and the list comes up with shopping list itself and those things that have been tagged by it. So we can open our shopping list and we can see what we need to buy. Yes, you can install TiddlyWiki on your phone, on your iPhone or your Android, but there's a little more complexity there. But what you're talking about there is actually delivering applications to your own devices, and you can explore that in the future. The power of TiddlyWiki is almost unlimited. So we've had a quick demonstration of creating a list and using tags. In another window, I have some tools in another TiddlyWiki, and one of those tools is a table of contents macro. And what you're going to see here is this is a link to the table of contents tiddler. I can drag that to our new wiki. Sorry, pause. Let me do that again. I have so many tabs open and I minimized the window, it was hard to see. So over here we go, oh, sorry, I'll go here. There's our new wiki. Actually, excuse me one moment. I'm going to pin the tab of our new wiki so I've got access to it. I return to my one, I drag and I drop on that tab, and you can see that it wants to import the table of contents wiki, Tiddler. So let's open this now that we've imported it, and we see that it's tagged with tag sidebar. That means it appears in the sidebar tabs. That tag has come inadvertently from the last wiki. I can remove that. And in here we have some code that operates the table of contents, and it's got a caption called contents, and that caption is used for the tab here. And I've got some other fields that I've put here, including one that says listed after the open tab, and I'll click and we will make use of it. Over here is our table of contents. Now, probably the first thing we want in our table of contents is our home. So let's put in table of contents. There's no suggestion because we haven't used it before. Click OK, and then home appears in our table of contents on the right. We can also go to our shopping list, which we're going to want to find in the future, and start typing table, and because it's been used before, it's already in the list, and we just add that to the shopping list. So now our shopping list is in the right, and helpfully our items on our shopping list are below that. So you can see with little or no effort you can achieve quite a lot. A couple of things I like to do, and therefore I will show you, is go straight to the settings and proceed to the theme tweaks, where I like to select this alternative option for the sidebar. Basically it pushes it to the right and uses as much space as we can find available here on the left. If I was to expand this window, it would become more and more landscape in shape. Also, I want to show you that it's very easy to navigate between tiddlers using the table of contents, but let's just create another item, and let's, for the moment, let's just say go shopping. Ooh, sorry. Now this is actually a task, so what I'll do is I'll create a new tag called task, which I'll be able to list all my tasks. But I actually want to point to my shopping list while I'm shopping. So what I can do is I can get that name of the shopping list and I can put it in here, and then I can wrap it in double square brackets to indicate it is a link to a tiddler. So if I click there, this Go Shopping task has a link to the shopping list. That's the wiki nature of TiddlyWiki, which is very powerful because, for example, I might also have a hardware list, and that hardware list is something that I want to look at when I'm down at the shops as well. So let's click. You can see now that I've got a shopping list and a hardware list. Let's just keep them apart a little so that they list down the page. And you can see that shopping list, which exists, is in standard case, and hardware list is in italics. If I click on hardware list, it opens the tiddler name and says please edit to create. And so now I could go ahead and build my hardware list. I'm just going to shortcut and say nothing for the minute. And so let's return to Go Shopping, and you can see that the way we've created a link is using the square brackets. However, if you use something which is camel case, meaning upper and lower case are mixed in it, and hit enter, it becomes a wiki link straight away without you putting the square brackets around it. If, of course, you wanted to have TiddlyWiki notes as a tiddler, you can see that this is taking it as raw text. So instead, let's wrap that in square brackets. So now it forms one object. Click on that, edit it. Our TiddlyWiki notes. Now notice here, I won't use camel case. I'll just click there, and because I'm not using camel case, it won't turn into an automatic wiki link. Other quick and useful things you can see in an almost default TiddlyWiki is in the open tab we can see all the items that are open, and we can jump to them. They put them into your field of view. We can use the contents that we've already set up. Recent shows us recent tiddlers. Of course, we've only done something today, but you'll see them in the order as you've modified them or created them. And there's a set of tools which allow a number of things to be done, including setting passwords to encrypt your database, printing pages, exporting tiddlers and importing tiddlers from other places. There's a great deal available, and under more there's further details. So for example, you can get a list of all the tags in this system, and because they're tag pills you can open them with a click. You can open a tag manager for colouring your tag pills. You can go and find tiddlers that you've named in links, perhaps using camel case or in square brackets, and this will list ones that you haven't defined. Oh, I haven't defined TiddlyWiki. Let's click on that and open it. So TiddlyWiki is our camel case tiddler, and now we can say this is what you are using. Disappears from missing because it now has a corresponding tiddler. During the edit process, the tiddler becomes a draft. Down here we can see the drafts, and there are further settings available. Now this is a comprehensive search here, but it doesn't automatically present the system tiddlers behind the way TiddlyWiki works. And if you put in a complex string and therefore it doesn't exist, or it only exists in the system, if you click the advanced search, it opens the advanced search tool, and you can find if it is contained in a system tiddler. You could see if it was in a standard tiddler, and you could also test a filter like we used in our Go Shopping. So let's go to the Go Shop, oh sorry, not Go Shopping, in our shopping list we made a, if we go here and we say, oh look here, we've got a filter, and say we didn't know how to do this, we could have typed the filter in the advanced search filter tab, and in this case we're not in that tiddler, so current tiddler doesn't work. But what we can do is we can take the title of the tiddler in question and place it in the search saying find everything tagged with shopping list, and there you are. It looks exactly like in the shopping list tiddler. So you can experiment with all your tags here. You can even automatically export those tiddlers, perhaps to send them to someone, and a lot more. Let's quickly look a little more at the control panel, because it can give you great insight as to what you can do. Let's have a look at the info tab which came up when we were getting started. In here we can specify which tiddlers are to be open when the wiki is started. Down here we can also say what the title of a new tiddler is. If this was to be our shopping list, we could say shopping item. So if we go new tiddler, it says new shopping item. Journal tiddlers are a particular type that are used by dates. There is an icon available to create a new journal here, and there is a button you can present over here to just create a new journal not tagged with the current tiddler. And so this new journal tiddler is created by clicking on the new journal icon, and we can put in today's notes. And save that. If we were pottering along, we thought, oh, I must also note something, we could simply click on that again, new journal, but the journal already exists, so it opens the existing one, and we can add to this journal. And here you can change the format of the date. Now, one of the important things here is I suggest you always keep TiddlyWiki.com on tap. So let's make a link to TiddlyWiki.com. We want it to appear as TiddlyWiki.com. However, the link to it's just a little more complicated. https://TiddlyWiki.com. So basically here we're creating the same link as we did before to go to a tiddler, but we're dividing it with this vertical bar. We're saying this is the pretty link, this is how we want it to look, and this is the detail of the link. So if we click OK, we now have a link to TiddlyWiki.com or any other resource on the internet. You could have simply copied that link from the address bar up here for any site you wanted. And the reason why I say go and visit TiddlyWiki.com is because in here, I'm going to reload that. I was looking about how to encrypt my tiddlers. Oops, and I even had it in the link. Here we come to the front page as we were at before, where we actually came down and downloaded our empty file. But the thing is that this has a very large resource of information. So if you were looking for the list widget, for example, list widget, there's a list widget, tells you how it works, has some examples. And there's plenty of other information around, but this is probably your first port of call. In this list widget, we have these things called filters. What is a filter? Down here, we'll get a whole lot of information about filters, but I'll just show you quickly some of the operators. In a filter, we can tell it to give us a list of each thing from a list of titles. We can input it by field, which I'll show you in a minute. We can access data tiddlers which have multiple entries. We can work out which tiddlers have changed. We can just do so much. But in here we find our list widget and we can click on it and we return to the details of, the list object, operator in this case. This gives you an idea. Keep that on tap. That's what you want in your learning process. But let's now look at a couple of other fundamental features which people may find very useful. Rather than a new shopping item here, I'm going to write notes. Now these might be notes about how to use TiddlyWiki. Perhaps I'll add the table of contents tag, so it appears here in the contents. And then I'm going to type some text. Now, while you're going down and typing some text, you say you thought that you might build a reference document. Was a good idea to do blah blah, and you decide, oh, I should have a task called build a reference document. So one of the useful tools is the excise, and to use this we're going to use the editor toolbar that's here, and this unusual symbol says excise the selected text into a new tiddler. We're not so much worried about putting this in a new tiddler, but we would like a new tiddler. So I would copy that text, hit excise, say the new tiddler is called build a reference document. Just to keep track of things, I'll say tag the new tiddler, and when I delete build a reference document, when I remove or excise the text, I want it to leave behind a link. Perform excision, bang. So this has made it into a link. We can't see any tiddlers open or anything, but we know that this has created a link. So let's just save our notes, and you can see that there's a link now, and it's not in italics, so it's created the tiddler for us. So let's click on build a reference document, and as expected it contains build a reference document. Now, since this is actually our task, let's get rid of new shopping item and add the task tag. So now, oops, now it is a task, but it is also linked to from inside our notes. You could name tiddlers the whole paragraph, or you could just use smart words. You could create a tiddler called my reference for the pretty link, how it looks, but only give it the name of reference. Perhaps we'll put an uppercase to make it look smart when we open it. So if we click on that, we now see my reference in italics, but when we click on it, it creates a new tiddler called reference, which we edit and place content in it, and we now have a reference tiddler. So I'm not sure how strong an imagination you have, but with these few hints, I think you'd discover that without learning anything particularly special, TiddlyWiki gives you a very powerful environment in which to store information, links, notes, build a document, write a book, manage your own task list. It just goes on forever, and that's without taking account of add-ons that are available. An example might be coming in here to plugins, and you can see all that's installed is the current core. It says get more plugins here. Now there's an official plugin library, but you can get plugins all over the place for different purposes, but let's just look at the official plugin library. It's got a method here to save tiddlers that you've modified, and there's a long set of tiddlers here, plugins, in relation to a code mirror editor, which gives you various editing tools inside the tiddler editor, many of which suit designers and programmers, but you know, I like the fact it shows line numbers and things like that, and a whole lot of other tools and mechanisms here. Now these tend to be ones that people need for a very particular need, like QR code generator would generate a link to one of your tiddlers that you can scan with your phone, 2D scanner, and convert into a link to access it via your phone. So there are many different tools here, but it's actually the community that publishes a lot of different plugins for a lot of different purposes. So just before I go, I might point out how to look at the TiddlyWiki forums. Now let's type in TiddlyWiki and say group, and Google brings up TiddlyWiki Google Groups. Let's click on that, and it opens the TiddlyWiki Google group. At the moment, this is our key forum, and a bit of work is involved to look at other things. If you want to make development updates, we have a GitHub repository where one can go and look at and submit new issues. However, the Google group is currently the best place. You can do a new topic, but of course there's so much information here. I would do a search first. So let's just take an obscure thing, Kanban, which is a bit like Trello, if you've used that, or in an organization you've used Kanban boards to do your thing, and then use this nice little unique name that very few people mention unless they know what they're talking about, and we can search for Kanban TiddlyWiki either on the net or here, and we immediately see that someone has done a Kanban solution. And when we go to that, I've been reading these already, so there's a solution called Tcan instead of Kanban, and click on that, and we go to the site, and look, it looks very much like Trello or a Kanban board, and you can drag and drop. Well, this is a plugin that you can install in TiddlyWiki. There are numerous, there are many. Not only that, but when you graduate to using TiddlyWiki, you'll be able to host it as a website, you'll be able to run it on your phone or tablet, you'll be able to have multiple users, host it online. There's many things you can do. So, in closing, I hope that this little demo has opened your mind to the world of TiddlyWiki. Thank you very much.